So I mentioned recently that I'll be exploring Dean Koontz's backlist, so today it's time to talk about his first ever thriller novel called Chase. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I will be reviewing Dean Koontz's first thriller novel that he wrote called Chase. He wrote this back in 1972 under the pseudonym K.R. Dwyer, and it's a really quick read, 208 pages, and the edition I read had been reworked by Koontz himself back in the 1990s. It made the whole thing a lot more solid, but I also found it cautious in many ways, and I'll go into detail about why I think that shortly. Now, when he reworked it, he didn't do too much to it. He strengthened up the areas that needed it and tightened up the prose and that sort of thing, and I think that did wonders for the book. I believe the original had 20 pages less in it, so I was lucky enough to read the revised edition there, which was great. So let's get into the story on what it's about. So it's about Ben Chase, a Vietnam vet who, once returning back from Vietnam, he had been honoured with the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he also got given a Mustang to drive around as well. So he's driving around and he comes across an attempted murder where couples that park in a lover's lane setting. He foils an attempt by a killer to kill the occupants of a car. So he has an altercation there, slams him against the car, and I think he injures the killer's throat, and the killer subsequently flees the scene. Ben Chase doesn't think anything more of that, and the killer resurfaces later on. But Ben Chase is an alcoholic as a result of his experiences in Nam, and he doesn't believe he deserves the Medal of Honor or the car. He is carrying around a lot of baggage and guilt from his experiences in Vietnam. Now, shortly after the events at the Lover's Lane area, the killer finds out who Ben Chase is and stalks him over the telephone lines and tells him that he knows everything about him and that his judgment day will eventually come. So we have a bit of a cat and mouse scenario happening there. Now, Chase also regularly goes to see a psychologist, and his psychologist, when Ben tells the psychologist about what's been happening, the psychologist humours him, writes down some notes, and that's about it. He also goes to the police, who don't take him seriously about the killer. So we find that Ben Chase goes after the killer himself and tracks him down and whatnot. So the plot, while it was pretty engaging for me, I mean, I really enjoyed it overall, but it was a little bit formulaic. It was a little bit predictable leading up to the climax. But you know, I'm going to cut Dean Koontz some slack here. It was his first attempt at the thriller genre, and I felt overall that he did a good job. So I found that it's interesting seeing how vastly different Koontz's early work was compared to what he's like now. And I mentioned in a previous video that Dean Koontz just cannot get any better than what he is now, and to go back and just see how different it was before he found his feet and found his niche and developed an eventual beautiful writing style that just spellbinds me and resonates with me. The writing is just so beautiful. Now, when I mentioned that it was a cautious book, it seemed to me, I got the overall impression that he rushed the book. Alright, it's like he wanted to move on to the next one. I believe he may have been under a tight deadline. Starting out with a new pseudonym, he probably thought it was risky to do a longer book. So I can see the logic there in getting a shorter book out so that people would receive it well. Okay, the main flaw I thought the book had was it just wasn't long enough. I think it needed at least another 100 pages, and things I would have liked to have seen, I would have liked to have had a bit more of Chase's backstory explored, about his experiences in Vietnam. The book does mention a little bit here and there, but not enough to flesh out Ben's character further. Even though I found Ben Chase a very engaging character, I still think he could have had a little bit more detail about his backstory, and the killer himself, who calls himself the Judge. We don't get a lot of insight as to what makes him tick, and I believe that within those extra 100 pages, if we could have explored the Judge's backstory a bit more, it would have made the book a lot stronger. However, overall, I smashed through it. It was really entertaining. 208 pages is not a big ask, and the narrative pace is rather quick, so Dean Koontz is renowned for that, and this book gave me the early indications of what his style would eventually be like. So overall, I did like it. It wasn't brilliant, but his later work, but it's understandable given that it was his first attempt in the thriller genre, and certainly I was able to spot the potential of how he would become one of the greatest living writers ever. So that is my review. I'm only keeping these fairly short and simple, and overall I gave it 4.5 stars. So I will be posting the second review that I did. It'll probably come later this week, and that's where I will review Shattered, which is the second novel, which was better than this one. So it's indicated early that Dean Koontz had the potential to rise up like he has. So that is all from me on this one. Watch out for the next review that's coming, and as always, put your feedback in the comments below. Let me know, have you read Chase? What did you think of it? And let me know your thoughts and comments, and I will respond as always. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. See ya.